Don't know if you could hear that, guys. I was drinking a little bit of my smart water. I don't drink any of that stupid water, you know. None of that big old dummy water. And this isn't an ad, by the way, for the podcast. This is just me just saying what I like to drink. And I like it when my water improves my intelligence, I guess. Anyway, Casey K here. Kamikaze Kidd. Casey Kidd. And another episode of No Subs, No Dubs. I always try to do that. No subs, no dubs. And my producer, Baka Boy, editor-producer, he's looking at me like, why are you... He had a few things going on, but I have a few things first. So I'm gonna before we get into it, obviously I watched Godzilla. So I watched Godzilla on HBO Max, right? And HBO Max, I don't know why, doesn't have some sort of feature where it can just take off the subtitles. So I had to put a pillow, like, in front of the square where the subtitles could show up, in front of my TV, so that when I looked, I saw the pillow, then the TV, and a decent portion of the TV was now just, the television screen had, like, a decent amount of it just covered by pillow. So HBO, get in and fix your stuff. Is there anybody out there with HBO Connect, right? Anybody out there who can say, hey, some people want to watch these foreign films, these international films as they're now called, without any sort of dubbing, okay, without subtitles as well. They just want to watch them and guess. Because this is a huge market for you guys, and you're messing up. Netflix knows better. I think Amazon Prime knows better. So you gotta get fixed there. That's all I'm saying. I don't know. So I had to watch it with a piece of a pillow. I'm very upset. I don't know. Anyway, I was so annoyed by the whole situation. Pillow in front of the TV screen. But moving on, I guess we'll talk about something else because boo-hoo, you had to watch a movie like partially covered. Okay. The other thing is I brought up my podcast catching software, and I was going to, possibly give a shout out to some sort of Godzilla podcast, and I looked up Godzilla podcast, and I was like, holy smokes, there's just a bunch of these. There's a lot of different podcasts obsessed with the Godzilla and like monsters and stuff like that. And I was going through them and I was like, because they're all kind of like the same two guys talking about a movie or something. It's always two guys discussing Godzilla. When you see something that shows like 200 and some episodes and you're like, why don't you talk about something women would be into? And I'm not saying like, talk about what you're into, but also like, don't you want to get a lady interested? That's another thing, Baka Boy. Each of the movies I've watched so far feels like these women wouldn't be into these movies. I'm not saying all women, but a war movie, a train zombie movie, a terrible French movie. These three, and even Godzilla, I don't know. Maybe there is a contingent of women. It's just when you find the Godzilla ladies, there's already like 20 Godzilla bros, 20 bros being like, hey, what's up, babe? So, it's kind of like I was looking at the podcast and I was like, this is a way too saturated. You guys need to find a gimmick. Go for your, watch Godzilla without the subs now. Still my gimmick, right? I don't know. There was one where it was like kaijus and monsters. That looked like a cool thing, but I didn't listen to any. Instead, I listened to this podcast called Really Old Movies, right? And it really is REELY. And I'll tell you why I like it. And because it's interesting, one, but the main reason I like it is there's a lot of like really short 8-minute long, 7-minute long podcast episodes. And my intro is basically like 5 or 6 minutes of bullcrap. Sometimes, right? So I like the fact that he can squeeze it in there. I was listening to it for a while. I haven't listened to it a little bit, but I maybe we cut all that out, Pocket Boy, so I don't look like an idiot there, right, B? Okay, so let's get into it. Really old movies. That's my shout out. That's my go over there and listen to one of those short podcasts about an old movie. Godzilla's old, so maybe they should talk about Godzilla, right? That'd be kind of cool. Godzilla's an old movie. It's all black and white and stuff, and getting into it. So if you haven't listened to this podcast before, spoilers alert, but welcome back. Anyway, spoilers abound. So I watched the movie. I watched Godzilla, right? Godzilla 1954, the one on HBO Max, where I had to put the pillow in front. I already discussed this, but it's grinding my gears. Godzilla 1954 is all black and white. I think it's the first one they made, and then they just have like 30 or 40 of them now. And yeah, so it's all black and white. And it gets in pretty quick with the whole destroyer or ship or whatever all these people are on. And it's like sinks, it's like taken down to the watery depths. And then we get introduced real quick to this poofy-haired dude. There's this poofy-haired dude, and I can't tell if he's in the Navy or something. And he's talking to this nurse lady, right? So there's poofy-haired dude, nurse girl. She's like the main lady, and we're introduced to him, and they're just kind of talking back and forth. And I was thinking like the whole time, are they brother and sister? Are they in a relationship kind of thing? Doesn't really. I see like hugs or stuff, so I'm assuming like it's platonic friendship or brother and sister, right? And there's something up already. There's something going on. Not with their relationship that I know of, but there's something like, news and stuff. I think we see a bunch of newspapers coming out, and it's the whole shipwreck thing, right? And they build it up. They don't just like throw Godzilla out there for you. I was expecting possibly a big old Godzilla bomb, and no, it's like the ship goes down and it starts ramping up little by little, right? It has a little bit of that going on. And then we get to this part where it's like there's a meeting, I think it's some sort of political meeting. I can't really tell. There's the mustached man. Now, the mustached man he shows up. He's like a scientist. He's one of the main people there, too. And mustached man he's the second guy to speak at this meeting. Or the first. It's very weird. I'm thinking about it now. I'm looking at my notes. It's like there's two people who speak at this meeting. And mustached man is one of them. And he seems to get people on his side. And then there's this beach situation. So it's like we're at an island, maybe? I don't know. Or we're just along the beach. There's a lot of people watching. And there's a survivor. I think there's only one. But we see a survivor come up. And it looks like a body or something. And there's a kid who's very, interested in this situation. He runs, and there's a weird old man who's screaming about the body that he sees. The body floats up, and there's a boy who runs to the body. And we think, oh, no, this is a dead body. No, this is a survivor. This guy survived. Which, thinking about it now, anybody out there, survive a shipwreck or something? That sounds terrifying, right? I've barely survived spraining my ankle, let alone think about how much water beneath someone would be if you're lost at sea, or, even if you're on the coast a few miles away or something. That's scary. I think I'd give up. My heart would go out and I'd drown instantly. Something like that. Well, the guy who you think was like a dead body, right? He survives, and then there's like a sort of survivor celebration afterwards. There's a bit of dancing. It's kind of strange dancing. It's cultural, right? I believe. I have no idea, but it's interesting. It's just a little strange. Don't cancel me, right? Don't cancel me. Then we get like this storm brewing situation. There's a storm a coming, And it's like, oh no, I know something bad's gonna happen. Well, a house gets destroyed immediately, and then it's miniature mayhem. Basically, it's Godzilla going around just, oh, not good. And then there's some political time, because what happens is, like, you get the storm, and the miniature mayhem situation happens where it's all messed up, but you don't really see Godzilla. And then you get the political, talks after the storm, right? And they still haven't really seen Godzilla, so that's kind of weird. And there's this guy with an armband who talks, and he gets some, applause and stuff, but I'm not sure I trust this fella. He has an armband on, and then there's a seasoned politician, and he's calm, and I can kind of trust him. And he might be the mustache man, and I might have screwed up. This might have been the part where the mustache man talks. I might have screwed up my notes a little bit, because I was thinking about, they do some politics stuff a few times, so maybe when the mustache man originally talked, it was here. So, Baka boy, we gotta fix this whole thing so it makes sense, right? So I don't look like an idiot. I know there's kind of some back and forth situations, and I think that might have been the mustache man talking there. Now I'm really thinking about it. After the guy with the armband. And I don't trust people with armbands. Not since, a while ago. In the 1940s, armbands were all the rage, and I just don't trust them. So you got a ticker tape parade situation with another boat that's going out to see Godzilla, or see what these storms are about, I guess. And there's some cool glasses dude. There's a guy with sunglasses, and he looks pretty cool. And I think he's the poofy hair guy from earlier. But he had sunglasses on, so I couldn't tell. His hair was a bit poofed up, though. And the nurse girl, you remember her, she's on the boat. And she's leaving with the boat, and they kind of look at each other. So I'm not sure if there was some sort of relationship thing going on there. And then my question is, why did they leave on the boat? Are they going for more survivors? Do they suspect a Godzilla at this point? Or do they expect, weird swelling storms or something? And if she is a nurse lady, she probably wants to help people, so maybe that's what it is about. I don't know. And then you go back to the island, and it's scientist time. It is time for the scientists to come out and test radiation. And this is what they're doing. They test radiation all around the island that got all messed up or whatever with the storm of storms. And they're testing radiation. They test the water. I think there was dead fish in there for a little bit. I was I get what you're doing. That you're testing radiation. Big storm. If you cut Godzilla out of this and put an atomic bomb in its place, like one of those going off for every Godzilla scene, I think that's a little on the nose. But I think that's the point you're trying to make here, filmmaker, aren't you? Anyway, there's photographers there too. There's scientists and stuff, and they're going up this hill. And they're all testing stuff and measuring stuff and whatnot, as you do. And they're going up this hill, and Godzilla pokes his head out, and they start taking pictures. Then they all run, right? They climb the hill, they get a picture of Godzilla, and they run. And there's a lady in trouble, and the poofy hair guy comes to the rescue for a little bit. And maybe this is the same lady who's like the nurse lady. I don't know. And then this is another thing. It cuts to the scientist dude, like the mustache man, and he's talking about dinosaurs, and he's talking about exhibits and stuff, and he's showing a picture of, this is the mantle or something, and underneath the oil, and this is where Godzilla lives. He bathes in oil or something like that underneath the crust. He came about from the oil, okay? And he's showing this is a dinosaur, and this is what it evolved into now, is a monster, right? And I'm just thinking okay. And I was also thinking nowadays you'd have someone be like, well, I'm a skeptic, even after all that destruction, and even after he gets a photograph of it, and he posts it there. I was half expecting someone to stand up and be like, "That's not real. That looks like the Loch Ness Monster." It's just not much fun that way, you know? But I think they all kind of buy it a little bit. They see the photo, so they're like, all right, well, hey, yeah, we got a Godzilla on our hands. What do we do? And there's arguing and stuff like that. It's very interesting because it goes into this whole, like, blowing up the ocean floor thing after all that, like the political stuff or the science stuff or whatever. And it goes into blowing up the ocean floor from a boat. So it's pretty funny. It's like boom, boom, boom. It's not supposed to be funny, but I found that pretty funny. I was like, it made me think of someone just being like, bomb Mars, you know, let's bomb the ocean. That'll do it. That won't just piss him off completely, right? Let's just blow up the ocean floor. What if you blow up the ocean? You just had the scientists talking about, yeah, they live in the oil, and you break up all the crust, and then more Godzillas come out. I don't know. It's just a bad idea to me. Poofy hair dude. Scratch that. Let's try again. There's poofy hair dude, and he's with like the scientist fella, the dino guy, and the young shaven head fella, and it's very kind of strange. There's nighttime finally comes in, and then there's Godzilla in the sea, and they start militarizing. They start strategizing. This is strategizing time, right? And then you get like a spot where after them kind of coming together and being like, okay, we need to strategize, it goes to Jonah Jameson and his newspaper, and there's some sort of discussion. It's like, I want to see Spider-Man on Godzilla. That's a terrible Jonah. I was Spider-Man. A little bit better. I need someone to go out there and just tell me with a review about my Jonah and just like give it to me. It's just terrible. But give the show 5 stars, obviously. And it's just kind of it's kind of funny. Now, then we go back to an eye patch fella. There's some eye patch dude, and the lady, the nurse lady or scientist lady or whatever she is, she's with him, and he has like a neat little lab and stuff, and he's feeding fish down in this lab. He seems a little bit evil, and the lady screams. And then it goes on to Godzilla rampaging around, destroying stuff, and there's an evacuation and militarization and stuff like them getting all their military people, and Godzilla comes up and they shock him with power lines that they power up and energize, and then they start firing the heck out of him. And they shock Godzilla, that's for sure. But then Godzilla, and what it looked like at first was ice breath, but I think because it's black and white, it just looked like ice for some reason to me. But he shoots out ice breath, and I think it's like real fire and stuff, and fires go everywhere. And he doesn't like clocks, so he smashes a clock, and he smashes up the town. There's a film crew, and they're all up there taking pictures and talking about Godzilla, and his spine starts glowing, and photographers and the news people are up there, and they're taking pictures and whatnot, and this gets Godzilla his attention, and he has a glowy spine, you know. He's got a glowy spine. He's got their attention now. They've got his attention, and yeah, that does not end well for them, and they all die. And then there's airplanes that are going around, and I think they're shooting like fireworks. It's very funny looking nowadays, but they're shooting at them. And then the next day, it's all hospital scenes and sadness and stuff like that. And that's when the poofy-haired dude visits, and he talks to the nurse girl. And the nurse girl's like kind of staring out, and she thinks about old eye patch guy. Remember old eye patch guy? I don't think I went into it very much, but he had his own like little lab and stuff. And he was feeding fish. And I don't think he was really feeding fish because it like goes back in time. And old eye patch guy he's got this fish tube thing. And the nurse girl is with old eye patch guy. And they figure out a brilliant way to kill fish. You boil them, you know. So he's got some sort of boiling thing, and he boils the fish in his fish tank, and that's when she screams. And it's just a brilliant idea. Boil fish. And that's when she gets the brilliant idea. Boil Godzilla. So they visit Mr. Eye Patch, who I guess is still alive, and they have to convince him that they need to boil Godzilla. Well, he's not really into it. And then there's a video of the destruction of all the stuff, and there's like kids singing and stuff, and fire burning and whatnot. And there's like a little bit of a scuffle as well. And I think the boiler guy's like, no, I don't want to. Then he burns plans, his boiling plans. His boiler must not be used plans kind of thing. He burns them. But then we start like following, the radiation on a ship. Like it cuts to like, okay, I guess we're going to follow him out to the ocean now. And then the poofy haired dude and the eye patch guy both get into diver suits because it's diving time, right? And they found Godzilla based on the radiation. Okay. And this is where it's time to boil them up good. You got to boil them up while you got the chance. An eye patch guy goes down and he makes the ultimate, remember, the ultimate brawler sacrifice. And it's time to boil up Godzilla. So he like stays down there with the boiling device. He stays down there with the boiling device, and he boils himself up with Godzilla. And poofy haired dude gets to come back up, and it's just like everyone's super sad. And the shaved head boy, if you remember shaved head boy, or if hopefully I haven't forgotten about him, he's crying. He's very upset, and everyone's sad. And I was just wondering, are they sad for Godzilla or Mr. Eye Patch? And there's the mustache man, who's like the main dino scientist, and he makes a speech, and everyone gives a salute at the end, and it's like goodbye, and it's the end. And that's pretty much it. I think the main characters were all there. It's very weird. So Eye Patch guy, the Mr. Eye Patch, right? They like introduce him kind of near the end, so it's weird. But in case I kind of messed that up, it was like you get introduced to him, and then you go downstairs in his basement, and he's kind of. I was like, I don't trust this guy at all. And I was like, maybe I shouldn't trust him, And it's probably a good idea normally, but I guess she trusts him. She's the nurse lady. She's one of the main characters in this, so of course she's going to trust him. And she goes down to his lab, and he's just got a big lab full of fish. And I guess that's where he figured out his boiling techniques. It was a pretty good movie. This is a little weird. I have a friend out there who loves Godzilla movies. So, I guess it will be interesting to hear from you, W. It's just a nickname. Okay, guys. But W. It's not George W. Bush. That'd be a little weird. How does George W. Bush sound? I love Godzilla. Just him. Love Godzilla. Thanks, Casey. I can't do that. I could do like George H.W. Bush if I heard it, but that's for another time. No, but W out there, he's really into Godzilla movies. So maybe he's going to listen to this and go, wow, what a cluster. Or, well, yeah, that's pretty accurate. That's a Godzilla movie. I'm trying to... Is there anyone, maybe comment or something? I got a Patreon. Patreon.com/no-subs-no-dubs. And it'd be great if you guys decide to give some money. I think it's $2 a month now. Which the goal is like 4 episodes a month. It's not even $1 a show. So that's not too bad. It'd be great to support, but I was thinking like maybe there's some way we could have some sort of discussion back and forth. Just be like, no, you got everything wrong. You talk. People who are super big fans of this movie will know it though. They'll be like, yeah, that's what he's talking about. And I will say the movie was pretty good. The movie was pretty good. It's definitely not. I'm gonna spoil it now. Spoiler alert. Hard 3 out of 5, and I've given a lot of hard ratings so far, but definitely feels like a hard 3 out of 5. It's fun. I think it definitely needs like subtitles. Kind of. I think for the most part Godzilla movies don't need subtitles, but this one probably does. Just to be like, it's the first one, you might as well watch it with subtitles. I don't plan on it, but you know, it would be interesting to watch it with subtitles. The miniatures were good. The miniature destruction, the mayhem, and all that kind of stuff was fun. That was enjoyable. The music was pretty good, especially like at the beginning with the titles and whatnot. It really kind of amped me up a little bit, and then it was much more of a slow burn than Godzilla just jumping out and destroying everything immediately. It was a good movie. I would watch it again. Too bad I can't watch it with subtitles as of the contract I signed, but I would want to watch it again. It was fun. And that's what I'd do. I'd recommend it to someone who wants to just have kind of a nice night, eat some pizza. That's like a pizza movie. I feel like the Ninja Turtles would watch the first Godzilla, or any of the Godzilla movies, except maybe for the first American one. Or is there two? But the one with Broderick, right? Broderick? Yeah. The one with him, I don't think the Ninja Turtles would watch that, but there's definitely a bunch of other ones. I think they'd sit down and eat slices of pizza and watch it. That's what this movie is, really. It's a slice of pizza movie that you watch with your turtle friends. Or, you know, your master shredder. Stuff like that. Your rat friend. Enjoy the movie. It's a good movie. And hopefully, yeah, hopefully if you're into Godzilla movies, just let me know. Maybe I'll do another one in the future, right? Maybe that's an idea, is get into some Godzilla stuff. See if the other ones are just as much fun. Anyway, I'm Casey Kamikaze Kidd, blowing up all over this bitch. Take it away, Baka boy. So another thing is the miniatures and just the look of this movie. So it sounds pretty good. The soundtrack, especially at the beginning, the titles, like I said, sounds great. It amps you up. But when you're looking at this and it's all black and white, you're like, And then the miniatures come in, they start getting destroyed, and honestly, it looks pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, it looks pretty good. The bigger issue is Godzilla himself looks like total crap. And I'm sorry to offend anybody out there, but this one, the first Godzilla, the suit just looks terrible. And I could go on and on about it, but it's just that's the worst part, where the miniatures and the sets and all that stuff, that kind of looks pretty good. That looks really